Hello everyone. So I have a few things that I want to talk about, but I'm choosing this one right now because I feel it's really important. So we have this whole thing on the internet talking about having 2020 vision in 2020. Now I know it's just kind of like a thing that's you know clever to say, but it is interesting how many things are really coming to light. Um, just things, and they've been around for a long time, but people are now just really starting to see them for what they are. And of course, not everybody. Um, I I don't know, man. I would say my eyes really started opening, and even I'm not stupid. I all throughout my school years, I educated myself in the libraries on things that weren't taught in school. I knew about different parts of the world. I knew what was going on historically in some of those parts in some ways, and just cultures and stuff. And so, you know, a lot of the dark stuff too. So I'm not stupid. But especially my my worldly awakening, so to speak, with how things are really like more, I would say I woke to like how corrupted things really were through the media and through the communications, more so than I had before. Like I was paying attention more, and that was like 4 years ago, 5. Anyways, so I see now more and more people, and things just keep coming out. But part of being, like, if you want to say you're spiritually awakened, part of that is, and it's not just for spiritually awakened. I mean, we all see things that come clear to us over time through experiences and through. But there's some kind of level of, when you start talking about spirituality, you're going to be in tune with things. You're going to know when things are off. And it's just one of those things that come with the territory of spirituality. And it's interesting. You see a lot of so-called spiritual people that try not to delve into sort of things like this. But deception is a true thing, and we can deceive ourselves. Others can deceive us. But it's really something sinister when a group or a person that claims to be really for the welfare of others or for some really good cause is really not. And they really have a sinister motive. And this gets exposed, as we've seen it get exposed with certain people in certain groups as time goes on. But I really hate it, these people who act like they're so do-gooders, and I experience this at work. So-called progressive do-gooder, and then they'll not want to hear it when like a real conversation comes up. And I brought this up in another video that I made about a coworker talking about human trafficking, sex trafficking, and it being in the city area that we're at. It's a really high numbers. Really, it's just off the charts. And of course, that's gone down in the recent years, interestingly enough. And if you see the kind of hate that's spewed in the media, and some of the lies, and some of the, it's like, it feels like it's just such a grasping of trying to cover up what's really going on, or trying to take your attention away from what's going on and try to fool you with something else, or try to, you know, okay. And I'm just going to get on the media here because, I mean, our lives are so entrenched with online media, okay? And if you just look at what's being covered in some of these institutions that get paid, okay, and they're not all American-based. Some of these have many ties with many nations with many different human rights standards. So keep that in mind, really. honestly, when you think about some of these media corporations and actually believing what they have to tell you. It's just so disgusting. Like, I can go online and look at real time what someone says and then compare it to what a media says that person said, and I already know they're lying. It's not that hard, but you have a lot of people not willing to do that, or don't want to do that, or are scared to do that, or are pressured not, or they feel pressured not to do that. But even besides that, if you're any kind of spiritual, like true spiritual, intuitive being, then you would know that something's up. Something's not right. But anyways, so you see a lot of things going down. It's just amazing how, like, you'll post, like, real shit, and all these people that claim to be supportive activist causes and, oh, we're taking down an abusive system, are actually fighting, in a way, to implement a lot of abusive systems, a lot of crime, a lot of trafficking, just a lot of horrible things that would go down under what some of the policies are that they want implemented in the name of whatever good, feel-good word they have. And a focus on the past wrongs, rather than the actual immediate wrongs of the day, modern-day slavery, modern-day abuses, modern-day human rights abuses. The list goes on. There's something dark and sinister. Well, it is dark and sinister. And of course that's not all of life. You have the polarity. You have the good and the bad. But to not acknowledge the bad, of course you have to acknowledge the good as well. But to act as if it doesn't exist, and then try to just act like the world is roses and sunshine, lets the bad seep in. When you don't acknowledge it, when you don't see it for what it is and try to address it, then you let it grow. And it doesn't do a service. You're not doing a service to, humanity by doing that. This is something I wanted to talk about, because you see all these people acting and saying that they care so much, and then at the end of the day, they avoid all serious conversations about really real things that are going on, and it's just really disgusting. And I'm like, it just disgusts me on such a level. And you can't really say anything, especially like if you're at a work or someone like that. It's just really disgusting. And maybe these people are just busy, or they don't have the time, and it's just easier to agree with people online than to actually bring up a conversation. Because trust me, you bring some of these conversations up, and you're not going to get any views. Not that that matters. But it does matter. Like, people should be exposed to this. But at the same time, it's not going to get all the likes and shares and, oh, I'm such a good person because, just some dumb shit. Like, oh, I did my profile filter, or I wore a shirt or something. It's just like, really. Anyways, there's a lot more stuff I want to talk on. And I wanted to talk about some other things about triggers that I'm going to get to. But I wanted to talk about this today because my internet exploration. And again, I've been looking into this before. And I'm just wondering why certain things aren't being covered in the media that are actually really big news, and good things from certain administration that they always try to, like, make out to be a bad thing and bad person, and he's doing all these good things, and it gets no coverage on some media platforms. I wonder why. Why is that? Are they getting money from certain countries, certain groups that claim to be doing good for humanity while they're not? There's big money. There's big money in crime and slavery and all this stuff, and it's going into, like, certain things. And don't think it isn't going to be used to fund activist groups and fund other things and just fund a lot of crap. And media, I'm sure it goes into media too. You just got to be aware. You got to be able to see these things for what they are. You can't just blindly just believe everything you're told. And there's an element to that of discernment, but also intuition, and also that inner knowing. You can tell when something's off, and when it's a blatant lie, when it's an obvious blatant lie, and you can prove that to yourself, you can prove it to others. And then when they act like they don't want to hear anything about it, there's something up there. It's really sad. And it's really sad that people can be so brainwashed into believing whatever is told to them and fed to them, and not even thinking about it and not even knowing anything about the world. It's like they haven't even lived a day on this planet. It's like, were you born yesterday? But anyways, that's all I have to say. I just hate the double standard, and I hate the whole, like, cloaking things in virtue that aren't, you know, trying to come off as, like, oh, I care so much. You know, it's like, you see this on all sides of the political spectrum, you know, claiming to be one thing while doing another, or, you know, it's just disgusting. But anyways, I just thought I'd share that. Part of the spiritual awakening is knowing that, is just also intuiting it as well, being able to spot it, and being brave enough and strong enough to acknowledge it, and call it out, talk about it, and so anyways, you know, I've gotten to the point where I don't really care. People don't care. I mean, people, you know, get pissed off, whatever. I've been through what I've been through recently. Like, what else? Like, I'm just done. Things are going to get exposed. Things are going to come to light even more so. And you're going to have people ignore it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. So, that's just my 2 cents on that, on the awakening 2020 of the 2020 vision that people talk about. Then the year's not done yet, and don't expect this to stop anytime soon. So, until next time, talk to you later. Please be brave. Be brave enough to speak your truth and to call things out when you see them for what they are.